Beyond the Badge is brought to you by Stefan Cadolin of Coldwell Banker Burnett Realty and the Edina Crime Prevention Fund.
Welcome to Beyond the Badge, a program about the inner workings of the Edina Police Department. Thanks for joining us. I'm Officer Brian Hubbard. Next month, residents will lock their doors, turn on outside lights, and spend the evening outside with neighbors. Nite to Unite provides residents the opportunity to get to know their neighbors and encourage a sense of civic responsibility towards one another. Also, by bringing police and residents together, these events keep neighborhoods abreast of local law enforcement efforts.
We think it's important for neighbors to get out and get to know one another. The more you know your neighbors, the more you can pinpoint strangers or anyone who might be out of place in your neighborhood, which is a huge thing in helping prevent crimes.
This year, Nite to Unite is Tuesday, August 7th and runs from 6 to 8:30 p.m. To register a party in your neighborhood, visit the Edina Police Department's website at www.edinamn.gov/police. All registrations must be received by Friday, July 27th. The Edina Police Department will host its own Nite to Unite gathering from 6 to 8 p.m. that night at Roslyn Park. All Edina residents are welcome. Come meet Edina police officers, have your photograph taken in a squad car, and enjoy complimentary snacks and beverages. Members of the Edina Police Department will give crime prevention tips and answer any questions you may have. The night will also include squad car and ambulance demonstrations, an appearance by a canine officer, activities for the children, and goodie bags for all families in attendance. Teenagers often have easy access to alcohol at parties and other summertime events. Even in a controlled environment, it is always against the law to provide alcohol to minors.
What we know is teens have told us that in fact summertime is a time when there is more alcohol available out in the community, maybe at cabins, maybe on boats. And so as parents, we want to be mindful of those places and times when alcohol is around. One of the things you can do as a parent is to really make sure that alcohol isn't accessible to the kids. Figure out a way to lock it up or else just not make it available to them.
Edina has an ordinance to address open house parties. According to the city code, no person having control of any residence or premises shall allow an open house party to take place at the residence or premises if any alcoholic beverage or controlled substance is possessed or consumed by any minor. The offense is a misdemeanor. While everyone knows that a handgun is an important option in an officer's arsenal, few understand the effort involved in safely operating and maintaining that weapon. Civilians can be misled by police dramas and movies that carelessly depict the cavalier use of firearms. Let's go over to the South Metro Public Safety Training Facility, where Officer Aaron White will set the record straight in this latest segment of How's It Work?
Thanks, Brian. We're at the firearms range today at the South Metro Public Safety Training Facility and joined by a familiar face on the show, Officer Kevin Rofidal. Kevin, thanks for being here again.
You're welcome.
We've asked you to introduce some equipment to viewers in the past. We're going to do that again today and talk about maybe one of the most common standard things people think of when they think of a police officer, and that's our standard firearm. Can you give us a little introduction to the sidearm, if you will, that police officers are carrying at the department?
Sure. First thing I'll do is I'm going to demonstrate for you that it's an empty firearm.
Sure.
And safety is always important. We keep the firearm pointed in a safe direction at all times. And this gun is unloaded here, as you can see. This is a Glock Model 22, and all of our officers carry either Model 22 or Model 23. They're given their choice. It's fit to their hand based on the grip size and their own desire and what works best for them.
And issued by the department?
Some departments, the officers buy their gun. This department's provided the gun for them.
Sure. How do we choose something like the Glock 22 in this case?
In Minnesota, about 80% of the police departments in Minnesota carry the Glock. Mm-hmm. Nationwide, it's about 75%, and so it's a simple gun for us mechanically to work on or replace parts when we need to, but also from a user standpoint, it's just so easy for anywhere from a novice shooter up to a very expert shooter to pick up and shoot well.
Sure.
And from a maintenance standpoint, when we go to work on them, all the parts are interchangeable no matter what model we have, and we can stock and inventory the parts, and it's just a very easy gun for people to use.
So a bit of simplicity to
right.
keep things
very much back to the basics.
moving along. I just recently saw a news story where they referenced a police officer's gun in saying a service revolver. People still, I think, picture the revolver of yesteryear, the 6-shooter, the gun with the cylinder that held the bullets. For people that maybe don't know as much about firearms, can you talk about kind of the evolution and how this gun functions differently?
Correct. Back in the day in Edina, when Percy Redpath was patrolling the streets with his revolver, we carried revolvers here all the way up until 1988, and then we transitioned to a semi-automatic handgun. And there was a shootout in Miami that with the FBI where 2 agents were killed and multiple rounds were fired. And this was the case that caused a lot of departments all across the country to take a look at the semi-automatic handgun and realize that we needed a larger magazine capacity and a faster way to feed those rounds through there. So
Sure.
I'll show you here. This is a magazine, and the magazine in this case will hold 15 rounds.
Yep.
And this orange, what looks like a bullet, is actually a dummy round, so it's an inert round. And the magazine will just feed these rounds up through the top, and I'll just insert the magazine here into the magazine well. It just clicks into there, and the bullet will come up and feed up into the chamber.
Sure.
And it just cycles the rounds through much quicker. And when you need a new magazine, you eject the magazine and then insert a new magazine in there.
Can you cycle a round or two through there and just demonstrate for
Absolutely.
the camera kind of how that functions?
So this is the slide mechanism, so we just release the slide forward. As the gun will fire, it will eject the rounds through I'll do one real slow here, shows you it ejects it out,
Sure.
and it feeds the next round right up and through there. So these will cycle the rounds through very fast.
So a big part of carrying a gun safely and being proficient with it is training. What are some of the things an officer does to stay proficient and train with their handgun here in Edina?
When an officer is first hired, we spend quite a bit of time. We'll spend several days down here, depending on the officer's background. During that initial hire, we'll spend time at the range, and then each officer spends quarterly, they come down and qualify. And within that 1 to 2 hour block of time, there'll be a qualification. We'll always have something new that we teach them, him or her. And so we'll try to institute something new into the block of instruction. And then some officers, if they have special assignments, will receive additional training beyond that.
So a lot of training for something we hope to not use very often, but of course it's a serious deal. I mean, we want to be safe.
And some of the other training that we'll do throughout the year at our in-service and on our Milo machine is shooting decisions. So not just being proficient, but when to shoot and when not to shoot.
Absolutely.
Is an important piece to it also.
Kevin, thanks for sharing a little bit about our handguns and how we train with them today. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Officer Kevin Rofidal, he's the training officer at the Edina Police Department, and we'll return to you, Brian.
Thank you, Aaron. The Edina Crime Prevention Fund is offering a $500 reward for information leading to the apprehension, arrest, and conviction of the person or persons responsible for a residential burglary in the 6000 block of York Avenue. The home was burglarized during the early morning hours of May 12th. If you have information regarding this incident or suspects, contact the Edina Police Department at 952-826-1600 anytime, day or night. Your identity may remain confidential. The Edina Crime Prevention Fund is the sole judge of any point of contention regarding the reward, and any decision on any issue connected with the reward is final. Pleasant summer weather leads to open windows and unlocked doors. Unfortunately, this is also an invitation to burglars. As we conclude this month's episode, we offer these tips to keep your home safe this summer. Leave on outside lights at night and install motion lights in all vulnerable areas. Trim all shrubbery around doors and ground level windows to increase visibility. Install deadbolt locks on all doors. Deadbolt locks should be of good quality and have a 1-inch throw. Add security strike plates on all door frames, heavy-duty plates approximately 6 inches long that use 4 to 6 3-inch screws. Install pins in double-hung windows. Remove the cranks on ground-level casement windows. Of course, the first and most important step is to lock all doors and windows when home or away. On behalf of my co-host, Officer Aaron White, and the rest of the officers of the Edina Police Department, thanks for tuning in to learn a little bit more of what goes on beyond the badge. Until next time, stay safe.
Beyond the Badge is brought to you by Stefan Caroline of Coldwell Banker Burnett Realty and the Edina Crime Prevention Fund.